You are listening to Russell Brand on Radio X. This is amazing that this is happening. Thank you for joining us. There's all sorts of things you could be doing on a Sunday. You could be listening to Keris on Six Music. Don't recommend it. You could be listening to Katie Hopkins. I think she's somewhere in this building. That's the nature of modern radio. But you have chosen to be with me, Russell Brand, after almost a decade in exile. And I have returned with boons for you, the community of listeners. Like, look, for example, I'm in charge of like this Steptoe something, and this I'm doing.
X gon' give it to you.
I've really understood the medium.
X gon' give it to you.
That's me understanding a medium. But what will be the point in me being on the radio, where I unaccompanied, where I alone in the world, at this time of togetherness? Sunday, in some faiths, a day of unity and communion and confederacy and convention. And joining me to celebrate that fact, nervously about to take a sip from a global mug, it's Matt Morgan. Hello, Matthew.
Hello, Russell. Very impressed that you're driving the desk yourself.
Well, why did you then, as soon as you come in here, call it a red flag? Why did you say when you saw me here, it's a red flag that I'm running the desk, it's a red flag that the news is being read in studio with us, and it's a red flag that it's a woman reading the news? You said that's 3 red flags straight away.
Yeah, but we've got through all those things so far.
That's right.
That with aplomb, with your little buttons and faders.
I know, I really like it. And it's not just me and you, Matt. People that remember us from the days of Radio 2, and many of those days were glory days. There was one day that lives long in ignominy, for which we perennially apologise. We'll recall that Mr. G was an integral part of the show. You're right, G?
Yep, real good. Glad to be back. Back on Sundays. We started off on a Sunday, and here we are back on a Sunday.
We will end on
Probably the same one.
This Sunday. Some people were talking about what would the show be about next week, and let's get through this week, shall we, before we start thinking
Hold
about
your
that.
horses. Hold your horses.
That's a very optimistic outlook. That.
I mean, to consider week 2 seems like cockeyed optimism. We're live in Leicester Square on Radio X. We're live on Facebook. Have a look at my Facebook page, and you can see me now frantically gesticulating like a pipe cleaner man, clinging on to the precipice, the last media outpost that will allow him. We've got all sorts of things coming up. I'm going to be telling you about, well, what's gone on in the last 10 years. That's some of the things.
Why do you keep saying 10 years? You haven't been away for 10 years.
It's been 10 long years, Matt. 10 years. 10 years out there in the wilderness. It's been 9 years since we've been on
since
live
we were on the
radio.
No. Well, we've done bits and pieces. We did.
Oh, yeah, podcasts on audio, boom. I mean, that made no bloody difference, did it? That's no way to galvanise the community and bring people together to get them to rise up. If you want to get in touch with us, you can. You can use my Twitter, or you can tweet us at Radio X, or you can actually text us 83936, or you can email me russell@radiox.com. That's all of the information. What?
.uk.
Co.uk. Thank you, Matt. Thank God. Already.
Red flag.
It's always a red flag when I have to do a little bit of admin. We're going to bring you some news stories. We're going to bring you some fake news stories. It's a blurred line these days. We're going to bring you some music. Matt, how do you feel about, like, since I've been back on the radio, people have been pressuring me to sort of play sort of their boyfriends' bands, their mates' bands, that kind of thing?
How do I feel about that?
Do you think it's all right for us to do that?
When you do, as soon as you do one of those, you'll be snowed under.
Snowed under with requests,
demos
inundated.
and stuff that you've got to listen to, which you won't,
Yeah.
frankly. So I would say no.
I'm going to start off
established band.
only established bands with a built-in.
We've got a
audience.
playlist anyway. XFM.
We've got a play. Look, basically, what this is, for the next 2 hours, I think we should focus on joy, unity, togetherness. But there will be. This is a commercial radio station, so I think there's about 9 minutes worth of adverts. You've got to listen to those as well. That's sort of part of it. There will be news. How often, Sunto? I notice you're still here. How often do you do the news? Like every 15 minutes? How up to date do you need to keep people with the Oxford and Cambridge boat race?
12 o'clock will be the next one and the last one.
That's it?
Yep.
Oh, she's quitting.
Already, we've driven one newscaster out of here. Okay, well, that's a lovely cough, Matthew.
Well, I was going away from the mic. It's professionalism.
That-
Watch me.
You're brilliant. You've lost none of your bite. That Oxford-Cambridge boat race story sounds like something from the Beano, a bit. An undiscovered World War II bomb.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound real,
That's
does
still
it?
happening. I can't believe that's still happening.
That war really defined us as a people. It's been a real benchmark in human history.
How long ago was that? 70 years? And those bombs are still dangerous.
I really think that Hitler, if I could have a word with him, I'd say think twice about this
prat.
crusade. What a real prat. You've really gone to get on a march against everything that we hold dear and holy. I've got some emails here. Should we start getting into sort of some listener-related content?
Yeah, come on.
This is from Kaz. Russell, welcome back to radio. I couldn't be happier. To welcome you back, here is my best Henry the Hoover story. Oh, they're dragging us into the gutter. A disgruntled, now ex-employee of a place I used to work at left a parting gift in a perfectly sized hole in the wall. There was some debate as to whether this was a double-decker bar or something else. It was the latter. It was the something else. The extraction of the brown parting gift was Henry's darkest hour. So that's a use of Henry the
How
Hoover.
did they do that into the wall? Oh, no, they probably did it and then put it in the wall.
Pasted it in with a secondary implement. Ever since mankind, at the beginning of 2001, the Stanley Kubrick film, mastered tools, we've had the capacity to use our own stools as a kind of putty, as a parting gift. That's one of the apexes of our achievements. This is from Harrison. Not Harrison, simply Harrison. Although when I was last here the other day promoting this, I saw, is he called Dave Davis, Brexit minister? I crossed his pathway in a stairwell.
Yeah.
And I thought of those two name people, you know, Dave Davis, New York, those things.
Those guys.
You know.
Marky Mark. Isn't it?
Marky Mark. He's dropped one of his, didn't he, to move into...
Did well afterwards, didn't he?
That's right. It was holding him back, as it turned out. It's peculiar when you come into, like, a live media outlet like this. We're in it, like, Katie Hopkins, she's here somewhere with her pixie cut. And you said, Matthew, some quite elongated... skin tags.
Oh, don't say that.
Well, no, you said that as a result. No, actually, because if there's one thing that's going to cure Katie Hopkins, it's relentless love, isn't it? If we
Am I talking about her moles?
that was a mistake. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to amend. We're going to love
We nearly
Katie
had
Hopkins.
Lemmy on our radio show once, and then he didn't come on after we talked about his moles.
I myself,
to him?
I've got some moles myself.
No, you haven't.
So I feel that I'm
No,
entitled.
you haven't.
I'm riddled with them.
Every community that
my
suffers,
abdomen-
Russell claims he's part of that.
Bulimia, I've got that. Alcoholism, I did that once. Mental illness, me too. Skin tags, you say? You should see my abdomen. It's like a squid convention down there.
you got?
Squabbling squid.
Wait, two things. One thing. All I said was I saw a documentary about her where she got fat on purpose and then got thin just so she could say, fat people are stupid. But I noticed all the way through it, whenever you saw her skin, there was some moles on it. And I was saying to Russell, I don't even mind them.
No, you did say that. You were very kind about them. Next week, Katie Hopkins becomes a refugee on purpose and then stops being a refugee to prove that they're doing it deliberately.
Where have you got a mole?
I've got just one on the nape of my neck. I tried to cut it off once with nail clippers. It was a terrible, terrible mistake. Oh, if you want... What are you saying, Gal? That I should get people to tweet us? Have a look at your Twitter. On my Twitter, it says, Radio X, hello, boys. Lovely to hear you again. That's literally from my own mum. Yeah.
That's
Do you
That's
not speak to her
encouraging.
in real life now?
No, I said, Mum, wait till I get a radio show. 10 years or so down the line, we can resume communication then in a safer forum. Right, so hold on, I want to just say what Harrison said. I'm 19, I'm at university, meeting girls on nights out is becoming boring. Well, good point. Well, 19 is very young to be coming
To
across
become
these.
jaded with dating.
Don't become jaded at 19, mate. This is the time to embrace it. He's ready to have a meaningful relationship with a woman. He says with women. So in a way, he's missing the point of monogamy. I'm wondering, in what way do I go about this? Have you got any advice other than don't go looking, just let it happen? He's preempting the main bit of advice that I would have offered. Don't go looking, just let it happen. Harrison, I'm glad you've come to me for advice about women because I am a man who has made the great transition. I've crossed the divide from hedonism, I was once lost, but now I'm found. And it was from, don't go looking for it, wait for it to happen a little bit. But also, don't lose yourself in romanticism. What do you think about that as a bit of advice for a 19-year-old, Matt?
I think don't lose yourself in romantic. He doesn't sound particularly romantic.
I think he's like a sort of an agricultural machine, the boy.
I think, just... that is the only advice, isn't it? To just not worry about it.
We don't want your advice. I want your critique on my advice.
I wouldn't take any advice from you.
No, there's no point.
I think that he's got to understand there's a natural law of attraction, and so if he projects a certain energy out there, there'll be someone that's attracted to that energy, and it naturally occurs.
What would be called in Hindu faith, the Atma, the inner self, the animus, some vibrant energy of which Jung would speak, some power, some deep source within us, allow that to be. Get rid of your superficial nature.
He's going out there and he's projecting an energy that's other than himself. That's why he
Harrison.
doesn't like going out there, right?
You're living a lie, kid.
Yeah, so he's projecting energy other than himself. So he's attracting people that are attracted to that other energy. So he just needs to project the energy of himself.
Harrison,
Just get Tinder. And listen to these jaded old men.
That's the spirit, sunshine. All right, shall we play it? Like, I'm now going to, as I drive this desk, and I'm going to drive it right now. So this is going to be, obviously it's the Smiths, isn't it? I think all I've got to do is press a simple button. Look at me on Facebook, everyone. Hello there. This is me driving a desk, an autonomous man making some changes. Smiths, obviously you're listening to Russell Brand on Radio X. Radio X.
Yeah.
Sunday. Got a couple of hours. Just to commune, come together gently. We don't need to get overly agitated this time of the day. It's not about being too pumped, is it, Matt?
No, I like this new energy you found.
What, just during while I was listening to the Smiths?
No, this
actual bit.
delivery that you're using.
I'm being
to
a lot calmer.
Phone you now, and you have to go, "Hello, mate." Yeah, because your baby's asleep.
I know. Did you think that yesterday?
Yeah.
What are you doing, Neil? Neil's round here jabbing away at something.
Done.
Clear off out of here. I'll run this desk.
Yeah, well, that's why he's having to come round and press the button.
I know. I know he is, isn't he?
You're running it into the ground.
It's impossible not to acknowledge that we're fathers now.
We are, yeah.
You and G wear
There's
spectacles.
no babies in this room, so we can.
Right, let's let ourselves loose.
Yeah.
We don't. Yeah, well, we can talk at a normal volume. It's weird that we engaged in massage as soon as you came in the room, wasn't it? Did you think that was weird that I gave you that massage?
Well, no, I thought it was nice actually because I've got severe muscle tension in my upper shoulders, upper
Yeah.
back. And
I
you
was-
jumped on it.
I know. I felt aware that it was a gesture of love. Actually,
It was a frantic massage, which isn't normal for a massage, but it worked.
it does work because that's the type of massage that I use on my girlfriend. Is that frantic technique? Well, yeah. I'm always trying to nudge it over to the next level as a man in a monogamous
I
relationship.
nearly fell into that trap.
I
It was
saw
so
that you were
good.
weakening, and some of the low guttural growls that started to leak out of you. I thought, oh, he's turning a corner here. This massage is going way off
Finally
track.
got me, haven't you? All these years.
Brought you back on. Noel Gallagher's going to be on this show later, not
Oh, is he?
live in the studio as he pledged, and as I heard Dear Johnny Vaughan advertising in the previous show. No, he'll be on the phone because he's going to watch Manchester City play Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium. He left a message that had a note of apology in it, if you ask me.
Yeah, he asked me to tell you that he couldn't make it, but I didn't.
Why do you think he's not got the courage to? I'm quite a daunting and intimidating figure in Noel's.
Terrified of you.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. He sees me as a monolith of masculinity, but he will be coming on. We'll be calling him on the radio, on the phone, on the
Why is it
radio.
a football match?
I suppose so. Do you think there's going to be challenges with that?
No, I think it'll be good. It'll be exciting.
Of course it will. He'll bring the atmosphere of the Emirates to life, won't he? Which people say is exactly what's required now. One of the things we'll be doing, Matt, I see this show as a chance for us to have real fun,
Yep.
lightheartedness, togetherness, for a chance for me to talk to you about, I mean, frankly, I've missed you. I don't get to see you enough.
Oh, we talk quite a lot.
I'm not being myself during those conversations. I'm keeping an emotional distance. Because obviously I've been, my other podcast that I do, Russell Brand Under the Skin.
Promoting himself already.
That's very, guess who I'm talking to on that
What are you
later?
going to say? That's very intellectual.
Yeah, very intellectual.
So I'm not involved in that one.
You're slumming
wouldn't-
us. You're slumming now.
Yeah, with you two, I consider you very much a pair of low cultural goons. I'll be talking to Yuval Noah Harari. He wrote a book called Sapiens that I was always banging on about on the
I
truths.
remember you banging on about that.
But he's written another one, Homo Deus. Basically, he's saying we're doomed. We're doomed, is what he's saying. Because he said the problems that we're worried about these days, what are we worried about these days? Climate change or something.
Yeah.
Well, he said, don't worry about that. Robots are going to take over any minute. So,
This is like Elon Musk. Are you going to interview him on your podcast?
who is Elon Musk? Is he one of those people that knows about the future and is good at technology?
Is that like billionaire tech wizard?
They're always
person?
sticking their oar in, aren't they, these billionaire tech wizards?
He's the person who's like really
The main one.
propagated that thing that we're living in a a 3D hologram sort of thing. Reality isn't real, and but also he says robots are going to take over. So you think, well, what does it matter if it's not real anyway?
If it's
That's all
not
he
real,
goes on about.
let everyone get on with whatever they want if it's some kind of simulation. But once you're saying that reality is fabricated, like, it's a 3D simulation, isn't that just like saying, I mean, that says that in the Bible, everything says that. It's all an illusion, stop taking the material world seriously. But that's not the sort of thing we'll be talking about on this show, mate, because this is,
We will be talking about
for example...
Prince Charles plans to sterilise grey squirrels.
Why does he plan that, and how is he going to... How can Prince Charles possibly claim to have that kind of authority over grey squirrels?
This has been going on for years, hasn't it? The grey squirrels aren't naturally meant to be in England.
Can you see that, like, it's a...
Parallels are terrible.
Yeah, that there's a subjugated narrative of, grey squirrels coming over it. Yeah, that's what's ultimately there, paradigmatically.
Yeah.
But what people...
Well, it says here that Prince Charles is backing a plan to slip contraceptives to squirrels by spiking their Nutella, like they have Nutella themselves, naturally.
Yeah, why have they even got Nutella? That's not something like... I know they can store the nuts, and that's a miracle. Hibernation, I still don't fully understand how people or squirrels can switch their bodies off for 3 months and just relax. But the very idea that they've got Nutella now seems like a bridge too far. And now Charles is planning to spike it, roofie up the squirrels with sterility drugs. Doesn't seem right.
No, he could reduce grey squirrel numbers by more than 90%. From 3.5 million to 300,000.
The red ones are better, I say.
Holocaust, isn't it? That's horrible.
He's out of order. He's bang out of order. But let's just for a moment reflect on the red squirrel of Beatrix Potter, Squirrel Nutkin.
Have you ever seen a red squirrel?
Never in my
real
life. Never. As far as I know, they're not real.
Never. You never seen one?
When have you seen them?
I saw one yesterday.
Red
Mate,
squirrel?
This
No.
was probably a grey one with some red in it. The red ones has got long ears.
Yeah.
Long and elegant
And
ears.
the curved tail. Go on.
And they're smaller.
Yeah.
You didn't see one, G. Where were you?
I was in Shoreditch.
Oh, what?
That's the
Shoreditch?
You're just angry because you're in the countryside. You ain't seen one yet. They've all moved out, man.
they've been driven out. The thing that concerns me most of all is he was trying to... Neil's looming over here to do some commerce. I mean, look, we are obliged to do 9 minutes of adverts per hour because, frankly, that's how Radio X is. This is an economic model.
How it's funded. We can't fight it.
We can, and I tried, and it broke, and it didn't work. But
Remember when I used to have to read adverts when we did a podcast?
yeah,
We never sold anything.
not one product sold when
First
Matt was
profit,
doing the
all those
ads.
companies.
But now on Radio X, they've taken the diabolical liberty of injecting into our show 3-minute commercials, which is a sort of a fundamental part of the show. And here comes one of those 3-minute commercials. After which we will continue to let's continue to debate whether it's ethical to ethnically cleanse grey squirrels from Britain, and whether the mythic red squirrel ever even existed, and whether or not G is telling the truth that he saw one in Shoreditch, which seems absolutely implausible to me. That was me. You may have noticed a brief moment of silence, but in a way, isn't Sunday about silence? Isn't it in those moments of silence that we connect with our deepest, innermost self? Isn't that a real chance to commune with a deeper, ulterior world? Isn't that where all truth comes from? Who knows? We'll never know, that's for damn sure. I think the real important thing is I'm running this desk myself, pretty much. I mean, it is like one of those, yes, we've mentioned it before, like a child with a steering wheel in the back of a car thinking driving the car. Although I've heard it said, Matt Morgan, that us believing that we are autonomously in charge of our own selves while our kidneys, lungs and vital organs run themselves, while cells recreate themselves and continue to generate, is very much blah, 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 blah. Now, this squirrel thing, I think this is an interesting theme, because when you have Donald Trump rising to power under Make America Great Again, the idea of returning to a golden age where we'll have wild boars in England, which I would love to have wild boars back again. Like, this is what this programme of Charles is. Charles is a traditionalist. He's into heritage porn. He wants to return to the past in a similar way to Trump. Saying these grey squirrels are stealing our red squirrels' nuts is the same as saying there was a golden age. There was a golden age where there were wild boars and badgers and squirrels with long ears. That's in a way, it's the same formula, isn't it? It's the same sort of idea.
Well, no, because Charles is quite into, like, energy, like futuristic energy, and like saving the
progressivism.
planet and stuff. So I think he's more progressive than that. Yeah, but also look, the grey squirrels carry squirrel pox, which will eventually kill off all the red squirrels, and the little punks, they strip rings of bark off trees, which exposes them to disease and causes them to die. So it's not just squirrels, they're ruining our trees.
I don't know about all this, Matt. Like, I was watching a squirrel in my garden the other day, and it was a grey one, and it was beautiful. It was like a Nijinsky of the twigs, the way it leapt from branch to branch up there. It had a certain elegance to it, and I don't think that we should attach too much sentimentality to... I think mix the squirrels up till there's just like beige squirrels or something.
But they don't, that's the point.
They won't do it, will they? They won't cooperate.
Grey and red mixed together.
Let's just
pink squirrel.
Let's keep an eye on Charles. And any attempt to sort of manage populations through chemicals from the monarchy, I think, is something. Let's put a pin in that and observe it over the next 6 months. If indeed we're on air for the next 6 months, this will also be available as a podcast. It's also available to watch on Facebook. Although I'm checking the shot, and I'll tell you now, I don't like it. I'm in profile. We should be going from that camera up there. I'm trying to direct Facebook Live, but there's a lad downstairs. I think he's called Steve. Why are we not going hard on this? Like, here's my lovely face, a face that we've seen in hit movies such as Despicable Me 1 and 2. You'll never see me in 3 though. They've wised up to it.
You weren't in that. You were just a voice in that. I don't know if you ever watched it.
No, I did not watch it, but I understand I was a real star. People have told me I shone in that as much as I did in Arturo.
Well, so the Easter Bunny, weren't you?
Yep, it's coming up to Easter. That's always and while we're on the subject of promoting me, here's an email that allows me to get into promotion, Matt, and see if you can spot. As a person who knows a lot about media, who's recently... Matt, I'm calling you the new king of BBC One. There's barely a sitcom on that channel that you've not had some sort of hand in. But see if you, with your knowledge of media analyses, can see what I'm doing here. This is from Dean Russell. I lived in South Africa. I bought tickets to your show, Messiah Complex, but after months of excitement, it was cancelled. I can't remember why that would have happened.
Because you weren't allowed in because of passport stuff. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes.
I was stuck in South Africa.
And G had to go to South Africa on his own. I saw pictures of you in a lion park with a tour manager looking very sorrowful next to Simba.
What was so funny was at the moment that the hotel realised that you weren't coming, they just looked at me like, son, you better get on the next plane.
We're rolling back that clock. Apartheid's back.
Didn't you tell a little lie or something and tweet a picture? You said you were... What was happening?
Well, I think what I did, Matt, is I often do, is quite a lot of the countries I'm banned for, it's mostly for administrative errors. Like Japan, they kicked me out because of admin, and South Africa, I think it was basically
admin.
admin.
History of criminal activity.
Yes, but that is how that cropped up. I administrated myself medicating very poorly according to the laws of the land. So South Africa, I think it was some form hadn't been filled incorrectly and they wouldn't let me in the country. I was at the airport ready to go, so you're right. A tour got cancelled. I didn't get there. So, but like, I think what I did in an attempt to make myself look more of like an outlaw, I went, hey, listen, I've been banned from South Africa. I guess the truth's too much for some of these people to handle.
That's it. I remember that. That's what happened.
Yeah, well, keep watching this space because a lot of people don't want me talking. But here I am on Radio X now, back. So anyway, that's why. Sorry that you missed that show, Dean, but it was because of a bureaucratic administrative quirk. I've been to the True Era Cafe, says this guy. Oh, then he moved to Switzerland and later found out he'd missed Messiah Complex there. I've been to the True Era Cafe. I followed everything you've ever done. But I'd love to come and see your show in the next month before my work projects get too busy. Oh, you'd like to see my show, would you, Dean? Well, how convenient for you that I am doing a tour and you can come and see it. Because for the next 18 months, as a matter of fact, I'm in small towns all over these islands.
Dean doesn't exist.
Dean! You're a complex man, Dean. Will we ever understand?
Dean's managed to text that in Russell's handwriting.
Dean, he may have used that new wiggly worm that you can get up with the update. He's written it with his little tips of his fingers. Dean, you're a brilliant man. Don't doubt the veracity, the validity of Dean. Dean, one of the great heroes of our time, and every man but somehow extraordinary. Come and see my tour Rebirth over the next couple of months, particularly in May, Woking, Oxford, Southport, Aylesbury, Watford, Skegness. They're the ones we really want you to come and see, because for the next 18 months, that's what I'm doing, baby. I'm touring. I'm being reborn. It's springtime. I have come again. I have risen. Here I am on Radio X. Here I am doing stand-up. Here I am reaching out lovingly to you. Dean, frankly, if you are real, come here now to Leicester Square. You've made all this effort. We're going to be here for another hour. Just hammer on the doors. Shout your special code word, Dean's Blanket. If you shout Dean's Blanket, we'll know it's actually you.
There'll be 10 people down there.
Well,
claiming
as
to
many
be
as
Dean.
10.
A lot of people outside now.
Good, good. Well, I'm not
'Cause it's Leicester
surprised.
Square.
They're all congregating around that cheap ticket booth for West End
Thousands
shows.
of tourists out there.
At last.
Show.
The message is reaching them, Matt. The message is reaching them. What shall I do? Right, now I'm actually going to play a record, and it's a record by Florence and the Machine, and here it comes. Florence and the Machine, I like that. I remember that thing the first time round, that song. That's confused me. It's made me feel sentimental, all sorts of emotion. Now, Noel Gallagher has confirmed that he's willing to come on the radio, but we've got to get him on before 12 when the news happens, when the newswoman comes back in to hit us up
Why?
with more
What's
news.
happening in Noel's life?
I
that
don't
finishes
know.
at
He's
12?
not being clear, but we're going to call him up properly, put him through the desk. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. But we're going to do another ad break now, because that's, as we know, that's how this is funded. You understand? Have I explained how consumerism and capitalism
I
works?
think people know now.
They've picked it up, have they? That's not my job to tell them about that. So, Neil, all I do is I fade that up all nice, and here it is. But after this, we're going to have Noel Gallagher, going to have more from Matt Morgan. You're going to have me, Russell Brand, on Radio X. Those adverts, they finish with quick talking, like where they have to quickly explain.
Like in
Look,
The
I'm sorry
Simpsons,
about
yeah.
we may have misled you there.
Side effects may include.
Oh dear, apologise for
Although
that.
Russell did fall for the
The
traffic
conceit.
news. There's camels. He goes, this isn't traffic news.
Camels, that's fake news, I tell you. Donald Trump's right. I've told you before and I'll tell you again. He's our last best hope of true freedom. Now then, says Andrew Goodyear, Russell, it's brilliant news you've joined the Radio X team. The X-Men, that's what I'm calling them. What's this cruel comment? XTV, Radio XTV presenters. The nerve of some people. My wife is a fan of yours, says Andrew Goodyear. It's our wedding anniversary today, so if you could pass on my abundance of best wishes, I'd much appreciate it. Andrew Goodyear's wife, happy anniversary to you. This is from Pete Soteru. All right, Russ, being a fan of yours and your philosophies, I got very excited when I saw you not so long ago on Joe Rogan's podcast. That was a lot of fun. Then I got even more excited when I learned you began training in BJJ, that's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I too roll, yeah? So I understand those kind of idioms because I'm a roller.
I too roll. Oh, right. He
I
rolls
too roll.
What's it called, rolling?
Do you want to roll, mate? You never ask someone harder than you to roll. It has to come downstream. That means I'm quite a lot of time in that dojo. You don't hear a peep. You mustn't go to someone that's better than you. Can I roll? It's considered disrespectful. They may offer you a roll.
Are you sure this is a martial art? Are you
We-
going to a very strange club?
We cuddle so hard some weeks, I'm becoming tougher and tougher.
What, so Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and roll, what that means, like go down, because you, no, hang on.
Roll,
back
yeah.
up, go down to the
Yeah, I
mat.
mean, it's a lot of complexity and crossover in the language, let's face it. BJJ and give us a roll. I mean, they're asking for trouble.
Well, you
these
go
days.
there and then you don't have lessons, you just go up to someone and go, I'd like a roll, please.
Give me a little.
What level are you?
Show me your handkerchief so I can work out what type of rolling you enjoy, my man. Yeah, that's right. That's what happens. But no, I go to private lessons of it because, I'm trying to catch up. But then I go to the classes. The classes is much harder because not everyone is indulging you.
Do you have to do, like, punching and kicking, or is it all groundwork?
It's all groundwork and wrestling. It's basically cuddling, Matt. So I spend my time clamped to the cheekbone of tough guys, and a lot of the scuffs that are on my face, if you watch us on Facebook Live, they've come down a little bit, they're friction burns from other men's bodies. On the forehead, up the bridge of the nose. I think it's good for me in many ways because, I don't know, that kind of close physical contact with men, it's got to be good for you, hasn't it? I mean, I'm a very cerebral
But do you
guy.
feel like you could use it, like, in a fight?
No, absolutely not. Unless it was a very cuddly mugger. Unless that mugger deep down essentially wanted some affection and love. And I think that is what muggers are essentially. They need love. Do you remember when David
An
Cameron said
arm
hug a hoodie? Yeah, I can do it. I can do arm bar. I can do rear naked choke. Well, I can receive them, which is almost more of a skill. And there's stuff. I'm very good with my legs, they tell me. I'm very good at the triangles with
Yeah.
my legs.
Are you some sort of training device that they've been using?
It's possible, Matt, that I've been brought in to boost morale, giving a damn good thrashing to a personality. Yeah.
It's good that you're doing that.
Do you think it's good? I do that. I do a bit
How
of.
often do you do it?
Well, I go to the class once a week, and
Twice.
I have my own lesson with Chris once a week. I think I'm learning stuff from it. It's good. I don't like wearing that outfit much. A gi, you got to wear that pajama. I mean, even tying up the belt is sometimes quite challenging
and
for me.
what grade are you? Have you?
Nothing, mate. I'm at the bit where you've just arrived there.
Right.
But I'm very into the philosophy of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm very into the Gracie brothers and family that founded it.
That's all the UFC fighters. If you don't do BJJ, they can't win now.
You're finished. You require that baseline, and I'm fascinated by that Conor McGregor, aren't you?
When do you think you would be ready for UFC?
I think I'll be ready for my first MMA bout, I'd say in a fortnight. I'd like to have a real dust-up with some of those savages to show them a thing or two. I mean, like, if you do watch MMA much, the female MMA as well, I don't think I'd be ready. I was trying to think of what level I'm at, and if there's ones for children, I think I could possibly do that with a sort of a 5-year-old if he was particularly wheezy and not committed and hadn't been paying attention in the induction aspect of it. So yeah, I do BJJ, but I mean, I'd say it's a slow road. This man's coming to see me in Cheltenham in May. Would you spare some time to schedule a roll with your fans? Oh, bloody hell, mate, it's not 2006. I did very little else in those days, but now I'm a father to young Mabel, a potential husband to dear Laura, and a man who goes on long walks with my dog Bear. I live a domestic life now. Yeah.
The dog Bear.
Why are you so scared of that lovely, soppy old, fluffy old, adorable hound?
Flying German Shepherd that jumps up and...
He's extreme. He is extreme.
He's got a lot of energy, G. I appreciate that, but Matt's fear of him is largely unfounded, although Super Vet, Noel Fitzpatrick, Super Vet from Channel 4, who did my dog's hip replacement recently, he said he's got a personality disorder. And then he said, but let's deal with the dog. One thing at a time.
Did he really say that?
Yeah, he did say that.
That straight away.
He said he's too enthusiastic, and he said he's nice to you, but to other people he can be a bit threatening.
Oh, well, this is what happened to me.
Tell me.
I stayed at your house. Well, you know, but I'll tell you again.
Go on.
I stayed at your house. Right?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember you.
Bear, and he saw me and he smelt me and I was cool and it was all right.
Yeah.
Then I retired to the little cottage you make me sleep in. What's that called?
What, you resigned to that one as well?
Yeah, I had to
That's
stay
Matt's
there,
little
in the
Campex,
outhouse.
right?
Like Colbert.
Yeah. And then in the
Guantanamo
morning, I
Bay.
came out of there whistling after having a shower to walk back to the main house.
Stop making it sound like I live in Brideshead Revisited. It's basically a shed.
It's like Django up in there, man.
I said hello to all the gardeners. And I walked towards your house, and that dog just sat and went like that and wouldn't let me go to the
He
house.
did not
So
snarl. He's never
did
made that
growl.
sound in all the years I've known
turned-
him.
Yeah, he doesn't do it when you're there.
Well, who would know my BJJ Rolly techniques?
So I turned around really slowly and thought, oh my God. Went back into the little outhouse, and he came and sat on the step, and every time I went to the window, I went, so I had to stay in there.
I don't even
And I
like
was
the way
texting
you're
you.
intimidating.
I was saying, oh, your dog's trapped me. I'm doing yoga. You'll be fine. It's never bitten anyone. Hurry up, just leave the outhouse. And in the end, your wife-to-be had to rescue me.
I see you in that, just stood at the window like someone trapped in a painting in a Roald Dahl book, refusing to come out. Lovely, soppy, old, friendly
And
old bear.
He eats bananas, which is weird. I went to pick up a banana in your kitchen, and he went like that to me.
You do nothing
Never
but
does it when anyone
eat.
else is there.
Oh, no. When you're around my house, you're a liability. You need feeding all the time. Oh, can I have some bacon? I can't eat this. It's like trying to keep you alive. It's like a computer game. I need a bacon. Yeah, it really is like that, Matthew. It's very difficult. With that dog, when I took him to the vet, they give me, Noel Fitzpatrick, Super Vet, who I adore, gave me a big bag of drugs for the dog. Dog heroin, dog ketamine,
Dog Valium.
all the best drugs. You should see the drugs.
They're not called that, are they?
No, they're called some sort of other name, but I've done tests and this is good gear. I've had to, don't take drugs. I had to, break open the caps and hide them in, little bits of cheese, Matthew. So I was, literally chopping up.
Cheese. I mean, why does he eat cheese?
He's quite refined, isn't he? He had a glass of wine the other night. Like it was Laura's glass of wine, but he sloshes himself right into it. He does what we want. Hey, if you want to contact us, you can do. Why wouldn't you? You can contact us. You can text us on 83936. You can email me, russell@radiox.co.uk, or you can use Twitter. Do what you like. Watch us on Facebook Live. I'm warming up to it now, Matt. I feel a bit more relaxed.
Can I just ask one thing? What is his personality disorder?
Aggression. Hilarious. He's a bit leery. We have got Noel Gallagher coming up. We're going to do him out the back of the news. I'm going to do... Ever since I've done BJJ, I can't stay away from the innuendo. The innuendo I'm very good at.
But that's bad if
Yeah.
you're down on the mat and a man's gripping you and you do it. I bet you don't do it then.
You can't even make eye contact. Did you know that? You mustn't look in each other's eyes.
Oh, God, you must struggle.
I just overrule that one.
Chris,
Matt.
I just want to look at you one little bit.
You've got such lovely eyes as well. There's like a little bit of indigo in there.
Cheers, Chris.
Hold me closer.
Don't blow my neck, please, Russell.
Oh, shut up.
Charmers have come undone.
Silly old, cuddly old, daft old Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'll master it eventually. I don't like being on this chair on wheels. I'll tell you what, I feel very, very unstable. Yeah, all right. So what, I'm going to put on Daft Punk now, am I? Well, that can't be too confusing. I'm communicated to by Gareth Roy. He holds up a chalkboard with a message to me, and I simply respond. That's the way we operate here on... Well, it's right. Yes, harder, better, faster, Daft Punk. But it could be describing Radio X and my return to the wireless, couldn't it, Matthew?
Or your BJJ.
Harder, better, faster than the...
That's what they say to you.
Next-
Harder, better, faster, stronger.
Just obey at least one. Oh, stop it! That stings. Take your hands off me. Problem with a lot of martial arts is that I don't even like when they're describing what you're supposed to do. Makes me wince.
But you've done, like, so we did kickboxing, I did Krav Maga, then you copied me and did that. Now you do BJJ. You're probably quite well
I sensed a
trained.
note of resentment in me copying you with the Krav Maga.
Took the mickey out of me for so long,
What,
and
just
then I
why you
saw
trying
a
to
pap photo of you in LA, Krav Magaing it up with a personal trainer with a little cut-off vest top, said Krav Maga, yeah.
Krav Maga, I'm new to this. I'm going to make it popular for everybody. Mr. G is summarising all this in poetry, even as we speak. And after the news, we'll be listening to Noel Gallagher. And for no reason at all, let's talk about dinosaurs now.
It's a perfectly good reason.
I love Noel, and I miss Noel.
Oh, calling him a dinosaur.
That's right. But maybe we should be less cruel to one another.
Who, me and you?
Everyone.
Oh, right.
Should we?
Yeah.
Or more of the old cruelty. Right, we'll do this link, then it'll be the news, then it's going to be Noel. There'll be a few more adverts along the way, some of which parody other forms of radio, which I think is lethal.
Just stop going on
That
about the
traffic
adverts.
report. Why am I so obsessed with stuff?
Because you feel guilty. or
I know,
ashamed.
I feel guilty because I've got to build a utopia, but not yet. Let me just finish my university course where I learn religion and global politics.
That's something we should talk about. Russell goes to university, just like a normal university, and sits at the back, good as gold.
Yeah.
He's a student.
I'm a student now, mate.
And they don't even think that's odd that there's you at the back of the room.
That's not what they find odd. No, they're very encouraging, my
They've been told,
classmates. I think so. One lad did film one of my announcements and put it on the internet. We had to take it down.
what announcement, like
Well,
tantrum.
Not a tantrum, rabble-rousing.
Hey guys, we're just going to stand for this stuff, aren't we?
Hey, we haven't had a break for over an hour. We've got students' rights, haven't we?
Come on, when's break?
me!
Let's go! We want a break! We want a
What
break!
do you do? Do you sit there making notes?
I do make notes on my phone. Do you want to hear some? I've learned
No.
a lot. I know all sorts of stuff about religion and global politics, mate.
God,
Narrative.
here we
Why
go.
are you saying no, G? Why are you saying no, Matt? Why are you not embracing the change?
Are you like teacher's pet? Have you always
Yeah.
got your hand up?
Oh, yeah, I'm a real...
What teacher is it?
Sean Hawthorne is my professor or doctor. I can never
Don't
remember
call her
quite what they
Mrs.
are.
Hawthorne.
No, because they're a professor. You don't call them Miss. It's not
Call her
play school,
Sean. You
mate.
go through all that education to get to the point of being a professor. People call
Yeah.
you the name that
like
they
with
call
surgeons, mate. The best surgeons, they go back to being Mister. They're so good at being a surgeon, they stop being a doctor and go back to Mister. Don't you even know that yet?
Yeah, I'm a surgeon.
You want? There he goes, Mr. G.
Hey.
Fair enough. He's taking full advantage of it.
Go
No,
on,
you
so
call her
what-
Sean Hawthorne, my teacher, and I snivel right up to her.
So you just go, Sean?
Sean, excuse me, why is there not more justice and fairness in the world, Sean? I liked Martin Luther King. He was nice, wasn't he, Sean? Stuff like that. Yeah, I snivel around.
Have you done any exams or gradings? Or
You're supposed to do homework, but I won't do it. You know,
you're just
essays.
useless.
Yeah,
You're
it's very
meant to,
complex.
That's part of the learning process, and you don't do it.
Footnote, I'm very good at the presentations, mate. You should see me marching up and down out there.
Footnote, did you just say?
Yeah, footnote. You have to do a footnote. You know, like you can't just go, we should overthrow the government, here's why. We need mass devolution and syndication of power. You've got to prove that that's a real thing that could possibly work.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's a lot of evidence.
Downfall was on your first revolution.
I know, this next one I've got to really work it out. There's got to be a stronger spiritual component or there's no chance. Okay, we're gonna be talking about dinosaurs. We're gonna have the beloved Noel Gallagher on the show, but we're gonna first of all have an ad break and then it's going to be some news straight after that. Keep watching us on Facebook, stay in touch with us. Remember how much we love you, and it's a genuine love.
800,000 people are watching this on Facebook.
That's a lot of pressure, Matt. That's a lot of pressure for people like us of a nervous disposition. Can we better play these ads because the news is going to be on in a minute? can't go back. You know we can't go back from Noel Gallagher, but actually we have
gone
gone back.
back.
We've gone right back,
Gone
and
back
here
about 8 years.
is we've launched ourselves back into the past on this nostalgia trip, and Noel Gallagher's joining us now. You're right, Noel.
Oh, very well. How are you?
Yeah, we're pretty good actually so far. I think we've got I'm sort of on one level of my consciousness. I'm monitoring what I'm saying, and I don't think we've said anything that's scandal worthy. We're all here. It's everyone that you know and love. Matt Morgan's here. Mr. G is here.
Oh.
Yep, right now.
Matthew, G. Yeah, I've been listening. It's
How
like
about
the old days. It's like
That's-
the glory days.
the glory days? There we go.
Yeah.
That's something for our
Yeah,
Facebook feed.
the glory Sunday mornings, listening to the radio, thinking, can't get away with this for much longer.
Turns out you were right. I mean,
I was. I know. It's when the veil of darkness fell on the studio. That's when the nonsense started to happen, wasn't it? When they moved you to the night slot, that was it.
yeah. I think as long as we keep in the daylight hours, I think very
think
little
so.
can go wrong here. When you, mate, you've been trailed heavily as being a guest on this show, but obviously you're not here.
Funnily enough, I was in a black cab doing something the other day, and I heard this radio, and I just left a message. I'd left a message on your answer machine a couple of days before, and I'd said to Matt, "He ain't getting back to me. Tell him I can't do it. So I've got to go to football." Then I hear Chris Moyles' booming voice, and the guest will be Mr. Noel Gallagher. And the guy, the taxi driver, saying, "You on the radio with Russell?" I'm sat here, I was going, "Well, I'm actually not. I'm actually going to play the football." He's going, "Well, he seems to think you'll run it, son." I was like, "Well, I'll come in though. How long is your show going for?"
Well, on the optimistic side of it, there's a contract for 6 months, at very, very least. But but you
1 month, I think.
Matt says around 1 month. He said he saw 3 red flags when he came in the building. Matt goes, Russell's running the desk. The newsreader comes live into the studio. The newsreader is a woman. This ain't going to last more than a fortnight.
Well, I can't come in. I was going to come in today, but I can't come in next week because I've got to go away on Saturday, so I won't be back in time. But
The week after,
I'll come in and probably stay there.
Yeah, that'd be
And
nice.
we'll have a laugh. That'll be good.
We'll start
looking forward
heavily
to it.
trailing that even now with the idea of the week after next. Now that we've scheduled it and programmed it, it's been very sort of meta, this whole radio journey for me. I basically took the job on Chris Moyles' radio show. Now we're discussing the scheduling of guests. The whole production is extremely transparent and visible, and I suppose that's one of the ways that we can keep ourselves on air and out of trouble. Now, You've said that you've noticed great changes in Matt and myself over the last year since that we've become fathers.
Yeah.
We're all fathers now.
Since you've become the only 2 men to ever have children.
That's right. We've really embraced this. We're real pioneers in the
Yeah.
realm of
I've done
fatherhood.
5 years of fatherhood.
Matt is not too bad, but you, on the other hand, clearly believe you're the only person that's ever been involved with a child in your life.
Yeah, I know. Wait till you see my stand-up show. It's just one man constantly trawling through minutiae of vagina expansion, for one thing.
Yeah,
And then
You see, it's been done. It's been done before.
Yes, but isn't it the role of the artist to show new wrinkles and creases and crevices? And I use those words deliberately.
Well, they used to say that about myself in the 90s.
Oh.
But I think I have noticed great changes, and the biggest changes is we hardly see either of you anymore.
I know. Well,
That's a big change.
We will remedy that, I think, sort of in this electric green, jade peculiar studio in Leicester Square, where every week for 2 hours we will be bringing spirituality and joy. I think you've mellowed a little bit, Noel. I've sensed in you a different kind of warmth.
No.
No.
I haven't. I'm just feeling a bit fragile because I was at a party last night. I didn't get into all hours of the morning, so I sound a bit mellow, but I've got a pretty bad hangover. But
Yeah, a lot of our listeners are suffering from hangovers. This person here says, Rusty Rocket's making it better. My hangover says, who is that man? I can't. Doesn't say who the hell he is on there, but it's just some sort of mysterious person on the internet saying that I'm coaxing him through.
Have you told the listeners the story of when I went round to your house that time? Remember your house in the country?
Yeah.
And have you told them a story about you getting locked in the pantry?
Oh yeah, no, I haven't told them that.
Picture their building of Russell's house. What about that story of you getting locked in the East Wing?
He got locked in a pantry, and his missus was saying to me, I said, so what did you do for the 2 hours it was before you got out? And they said, well, Russell was pretending it was a time tunnel.
Well, you were both locked in there.
I was like, what? Really?
Hang on, we
Good
need
God.
to know the story of this.
The reason I've not
Tell them
told
the
this story before is because it involves
it's
words.
preposterous.
It says, because there's words like pantry in the story, I thought, don't tell it, because I am very much a man who believes in equality. But the problem was, I went in me and my girlfriend was in what you could call a cupboard, if you were
A
try to...
walk-in pantry. That could
It's a
be
walk-in.
time
It's a
tunnel.
walk-in. It's a walk-in pantry.
It ain't that big, it's only...
It's a cupboard.
But I was in there with my
enormous.
girlfriend. It's not normal.
It is enormous. He's got electric gates where you go to his house. Hello, it's Noel for Russell, and some other voice comes on. I'll go and see if he's around, sir.
You mean Russell the Revolutionary wants to overthrow the government? Yes.
Do you mean
He's down
Comrade
on his
Russell?
private golf course.
I think he's out feeding the chickens.
Yeah.
I don't like either of you very much, but let me tell you a story about this man that you are trying to debase. A man who even now is on a university course trying to learn about new political systems to help one another. We have an ad break in a moment, folks. What happened was I was briefly locked in a pantry. Like, me, my girlfriend and dog went in this pantry, and I think it was her that said, "Wow, if the door was closed, it would be like we were in a time capsule." And I go, "That's absolutely brilliant. Let's close the door." The door closed, and it couldn't be opened from the inside. So we were just trapped in there. Me, the German Shepherd that Matt is, as you know, terribly afeared of. were trapped in there.
Just quickly. Noel, was the dog all right with you?
He got locked behind a gate thing.
Not that many gates.
In Russell's panic room.
My youngest lad, I caught him out of the corner of my eye. He was eating a packet of fruit pastels, and what he was doing, he was taking one out. And while we were chatting away in the kitchen, my son was kind of outstretching his arm into the thing, putting the fruit pastel in front of the dog's nose, and then just taking it away and eating it himself.
Oh,
And
that's
I was
what's
like,
giving him such anger issues.
It has given him anger issues. He's
But
been
that dog is a vicious killer. You can see it in his eyes.
I knew
He's
it.
not. He's an angel, that boy. I'm like,
No,
you're
he's trapped
crazy.
Groundskeepers already.
He trapped Matt in the guest cottage. You have a guest cottage.
It's basically a shed. Okay.
It's not a shed. It's not a shed.
There's only
It's
3
a
staff
guest-
in the guest cottage.
It's
Listen.
a guest cottage.
I'm trying to tell you a difficult story about how I was trapped in a pantry and I had to beat my way out with a La Crusette lid. A desperate attempt to reclaim some credentials. I had to tunnel my way through that door with a saucepan lid very, very aggressively. My girlfriend and I were quite worried. We were concerned we were going to have to start defecating in spice jars. The hole still remains there as a reminder.
Actually hacked through a door
right.
to get out.
Yeah, I hacked through a door.
Yeah, there's-
using my
there's a hole in
BJJ
it.
skills and tenacity. Yeah.
Staff got sacked for that.
Where are you?
I could very easily have starved. We were down to our last grouse in there. One of them was barely smoked. Call that venison? You'll be over my knee, my man. Luckily,
But
none
that's
of the
not-
garden staff got in. They're real upstarts. The ones we keep in the house, they're pretty mellow. They've mostly been broken. But the ones in the garden, by Jove, if they kick off... It's going to get dark, baby. Listen,
exactly.
that's enough of an
Not that
attack
far
from
from
you,
the
you
truth.
great big towering monolith of millionairedom. Now, what are you doing? You're going to see Arsenal v Man City?
I'm going to see Arsenal City, yeah.
Who are you hanging out with? What's going on? Who are your friends with now?
Still the same bunch. I'm going with my mate Mike Pickering, the first commonly recognised as the first superstar DJ, and one of
Now
one
you're
of my
talking
road
to
crew,
the last.
one of my road crew, Phil Smith, and Scully was supposed to go, but he's not turned up. So I don't know where he is.
Scully's a
but,
man of mystery. He's always sort of lurking around when I go to your gigs, often selling tickets outside. He's
Yeah.
He's an extraordinary character.
He's an extraordinary individual. I wouldn't say he's a man of mystery, though.
No, right. No, he's a very explicit character. I suppose it's just sort of dubious income, I suppose is what I meant by that.
If he had layers of an onion, he'd be a very, very small onion. You know,
Yeah.
a shallot even.
Yeah.
But so we're going there. So I can't. I would have come across this morning, obviously, but I can't go.
I'm glad that you had mental access to the word shallot so quickly. We've got a tweet here from someone calling himself the Prawn. He says, listening to @Rusty Rockets and @Noel Gallagher on @Radio X from South Africa. What a time to be alive. Has South Africa ever known such incredible changes? No. This is a great moment for South Africa and South African history. Thanks, Rusty Rockets on Radio X. Just had to explain to a 10-year-old why BJJ is funny. Told him it's two men rolling around. That made it worse, says Rich Rushton, parenting his children as we all are. Matt, I'd like you to reiterate and repeat that story about when you had to tell your lad that he'd missed a school trip. That was a heartbreaker and a beauty. If you heard this, no, it's worth listening to. Check it out.
Go on.
Cohen missed his school trip to go and see Santa because he was ill, and he didn't realise because it was on Monday and he was ill all weekend, and then he
He's
realised,
5, isn't he, the lad?
He's 5. Well, he's nearly 5. He realised, hang on, it's Monday. Oh my goodness, I've missed my school trip, and had a mental breakdown, as they do. And I said to him, don't worry, there'll be another school trip in the future. And he went, how are they ever going to get to the future? You're lying. He thought I was suggesting there was going to be a school trip forward in time.
That kid's got high expectations of life.
Well, he did. He was at a party at my house once, and there was a kid, what can only be described as like a kid's kind of toy playhouse, and he was going inside it, and he turned around to me and he said, "Look, it's like a hotel."
Oh yeah, he did. And he also said to Noel, "Why you don't got no beard?"
Why you don't got no beard? What's wrong with you? Don't you got no testosterone in your blood?
One of the time he's running around the back garden going, "Look, I'm running with my feet. I'm running with my feet."
Oh, that's Matt Morgan's son. Matt, how do you use your imagination and sense of play in fatherhood? Or do you think
Story time, bedtime, just make up stuff. They love it.
But aren't you worried that you'll take them into imaginative realms that are potentially difficult for them to contend with?
You mean like Spike Milligan?
Yeah, a bit like Spike Milligan, who famously said, his children later said, Spike Milligan created such a wonder world for us that when we went out to reality, it was bloody awful and
Leave
unbearable.
little tiny letters around saying, I'm written by a fairy.
Yeah.
And then when they grew up, they realised that the world didn't have fairies, and then went, oh.
Oh my God, what do you mean? Brexit? Donald Trump? Where the hell are the fairies? Dad, you've not prepared us. What about when you're a lad, you said you sometimes use evocative imagery that's too much for Cohen to understand. You said, don't watch your head or it'll crack like an egg.
Oh, yeah, I did say. I said, if you fall off your chair, you'll bang your head and it'll crack like an egg. And that stayed in his mind far too long. I don't want it to crack like an egg.
It's too powerful. It's a too powerful image.
To the moment, because he said, when you're put in the ground, what happens to your body? And I said, well, just, worms eat you eventually and stuff like that. Now, all he talks about is he goes, what else can you be? Because I don't want worms to eat. And I said, well, you can be burned. And then now he's like, I want to be burned into ash so worms don't eat me. He'll tell strangers that.
Just uses that as his opener. Hey, hello there.
Hello, I'm Cohen. I'm nearly 5, and check this out. I want to be burned alive.
You've got to be careful. You can't.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Well, I suppose, yeah, because that's, I suppose, the thing I'm aware of is that I'm forming the image systems and language that's going to form a worldview.
Oh, dear.
A lot of challenges ahead, a lot of challenges in the world of parenthood.
Well, Noel does all right.
Yeah, they're very well adjusted, those boys. I refereed a very good football match between the two of them on their own football pitch last time I visited them.
Oh, look at little class off between you two now.
Well, I've got to say the back garden is as big as a football pitch, but it's not an actual football pitch.
It was actually in the bedroom.
You used to have a football pitch, didn't you?
Well, I mean...
I did do back a long time ago, but Russell's got the River Thames at the end of his garden.
He has, hasn't he?
Why don't you give people my postcode? Why don't you stand outside in Leicester Square and give out copies of Catcher in the Rye and pistols?
all they've got is listen, here's how middle class he is now. The last time he came round to my house, you know what he brought me as a gift?
What was that?
He brought me half a dozen eggs from his own chickens. I brought you some eggs.
I'm thinking of becoming a vegan, actually. So there you go. That's
why so
moral
high ground. It's not cruel to have
with
chickens laying eggs, is it?
I don't know. It depends how eagerly you prize those little eggs out of them. No, I mean, it's not.
You aren't meant to squeeze the chicken.
Ronnie and Reggie, the roosters, they're terrible the way they behave.
Why you named them after criminals?
Because of the way they conduct themselves. A lot of their sexual activity doesn't look consensual to me, let me tell you. The way they leap all over Jill, Ivy and Crystal, raging away at the back of
They
them.
got prostitutes' names. What's going on?
Sex workers.
that
No
kind
money
of-
changes hands. I mean, it doesn't change hands because they've got no choice in the marriage. It's awful to watch.
But hang on,
around,
if you've
folks.
got boy chickens and girl chickens, aren't they? Wouldn't you have baby chicks instead
I
of
don't
eggs?
know how nature works. It's a complex
My
mystery.
omelettes are very bony and lumpy and feathery.
A lovely, delicious, feathery omelette. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Nature will take its course. Well, we're going to have to go to a commercial break soon, Noel. Thank you for coming on this
Right.
radio show.
No worries.
Even though you weren't here physically, your charisma is such that I very much
And,
felt the presence.
I should be listening. Feel free to phone me at any point. But listen, let me double check about the week after next. But I think I'm around. I'll come across anyway for sure.
We want you here.
Good.
You will always be
I want-
welcome. You hold a place in our
Will
hearts.
Matt be there? Matt, will you be there?
Well, I'm going to come and go, but if you're here,
You better stay here, bruv.
I'll be here when
I'm
you
going to
come.
tag you up like you're on house arrest, Matthew Morgan.
No,
We're going
we-
to keep you
we have-
tethered.
No, me and Matt will have to coordinate it because we need to expose this middle-class buffoon that he is now.
Middle
Yeah.
class. I'm somewhere
And
in
his-
the aristocracy.
and his £7 million
That's
cottage
quite
on the
enough
River
from
Thames.
you. Well, you have been a lovely guest, sir. Good day to you. Enjoy your football match. Enjoy your time in the terraces at the Emirates. I'm sure you'll be brawling.
Oh, no. I won't be on the terraces, mate. I'll be in some posh person's boxes inviting me there, which is, one of the trappings of fame that I like. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Filthy
I love
animal.
you. See you later.
Let's
later,
fund
Noel.
this crap.
Bye.
Bye-bye, bye-bye. Russell Brand on Radio X on Sunday. Some call it the Day of the Lord, but whatever you believe in, whatever version of God, or even if you're an atheist and believe in humanism, we welcome you to this church today. Outside, the crowds are gently gathering. A couple of paparazzi. Some people are laying down flowers as tributes to the end of an era and the beginning of a glorious new time. Hey, you know I'm on tour at the moment, don't you, Matthew?
No, let's not talk about it.
No, well, no. I was
Oh,
gonna-
dinosaurs. Story about a
Rebirth.
T-Rex here. Should we do that?
RussellBrand.com. Come and see me live. Well, yeah, I definitely want to do that Tyrannosaurus Rex
Go on, then,
thing.
promote your tour if you don't
Rebirth.
already.
It's called RussellBrand.com. Go there for some tickets. Come and see me. I'm doing it. I'll be doing it.
What's the
on
main
Tuesday.
theme of Rebirth?
The birth of the baby. How I've been reborn
The baby,
again.
as she's called.
There's some little guy lives in my house. Oh, greedy guts, always on the knocker or the bottle, always wants something. Little Mabel, Maybelline, Mabels, Mabes. Yeah, to talk about that. And then I talk about the madness of the previous year. Then I talk about how to have principles and remain connected and what can we do and how that's sort of the birth of love that comes in the ordinary miracle of becoming a father. Because I do talk about that it is a mundane thing that happens to everybody, but it feels so absolutely extraordinary and transitional, and it's given me a new degree of compassion and understanding and love. And also I talk about how do I
You
reposition.
still sleep in a separate room?
I won't go in there with that thing. It keeps making sounds. I can't go near
Me,
it.
no, I sleep in a separate room. She makes a lot of noise. I said, I wouldn't do that. I mean, I might do that if I had an important meeting in the morning. He goes, yeah, that's what I say.
To look at me, which you can do on Facebook Live, you would think I'm the very essence of a hippie, but in all reality, I'm like some sort of Victorian dad.
Blimey, shut that kid up. Earplugs.
Matthew, you know I'm a sensitive person. If I don't get my 10 hours, I'm unmanageable. I don't know how you're coping, because you're like...
I need a lot of sleep. It's terrible for me.
It's a mistake to let them in the bed, ain't it, mate?
Yeah, once
you can't
start
go back.
that, yeah.
That's baby heroin, letting them in the bed.
Mabel
isn't it?
in the bed.
No, she's in a cot at the end of our bed, or the bed I used to sleep in before the little usurper came to live with us. All right, so what we're going to do? Should we do some humorous stuff now? Because I think we've talked about my tour, and that you can go to russellbrand.com if you want to come and see me live, be in the same room as me, and all the pleasure that likely brings. We've got some humorous comedic content.
Well, we both have, haven't we? We've got this T-Rex story.
Yeah,
I've been
that's
trying to push forwards for about an hour.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about that. I also, we'll keep the idea in our minds about the sort of the grey squirrel and the red squirrel. Seems like the sort of thing that we've always talked about, that we've always
It's
cared
always
about.
come up. I did have a thought, right? You know, flamingos are pink only because of what they
Carotene.
eat. Yeah. Why doesn't Prince Charles put in the Nutella something that turns grey squirrels red?
Then there's problem solved.
Well,
Because
it's plastered over.
there is a concealed argument in there that's to do with cleansing. And I love a red squirrel as much as the next man. Apparently on the Isle of Wight, that's all you've got is red squirrels. Red squirrels, David Icke, and a prison, Parkhurst. But the grey squirrel never made the transition to that peculiar isle, the Isle of Wight. But it's eerie there, isn't it? Have you ever spent any time there?
We all
there
went there,
together.
don't you remember?
Oh, yeah, we did go there.
That was why it was eerie.
Down the wrong road.
That's Wrong Road Cottage,
Wrong
wasn't
Road
it?
Cottage,
yeah.
yeah.
No, when David Icke came round your house, and I was just all we were thinking was, "Go on, say something about aliens, say something
Come
about reptiles," and he's just watching the football.
Just watch football,
Just talked
talk
about
about
football because he was
goalkeeping.
an old goalkeeper.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
So,
Really?
mate, do some Icke stuff.
Come on,
He did a
say
bit at the
something,
end.
Geiky. Go on.
Fearsome Tyrannosaurus Rex was a sensitive lover, say scientists.
Yeah, well, I've always thought that Tyrannosaurus Rex was unduly criticised for being brutal, so it's
We
nice
don't- yeah.
to.
But
have
this
a
is
look
all
at this, isn't it?
conjecture, isn't it?
Well, everything's conjecture, Matthew. I mean,
not.
isn't it? What?
Stuff about
Gravity.
animals, yeah.
All right. He may have been the most terrifying carnivore ever to have walked the earth, but experts say the 20-foot T-Rex had an extremely sensitive snout, which could mean that males and females enjoyed rubbing their faces together while mating. It could mean that.
Could mean that, but surely it doesn't.
No, maybe he used that sensitive snout to sniff out prey, to
Well, it says
unduly
here,
torment them.
the scientists said the T-Rex may well have used it to explore its environment and pick up fragile eggs, but he's got little tiny arms.
Yeah, he's not picking up any fragile eggs with those, is he?
Mind you, if you pick... No, but that's what I thought. Like, they're tiny. They could pick up little eggs, but then you couldn't put them in his mouth.
Nothing more frustrating than holding a fragile little egg in the palm of your reptilian paw and not being able to get it into
His
your
arms were
jaws.
useless. He couldn't have done anything with them.
No, they basically weren't worth
So
having.
he had to rub his face on everything. Going, tree.
Lovely, adorable, sensitive dinosaurs. Dinosaurs that knew nothing of nation, that knew nothing of the days of the week, knew nothing of systems of categorization. Everything that we hold to be real.
It's conjecture, though. How do you know they didn't know?
Yeah.
Because these are all human creations. No animals
How do you
living
know
today.
Dinosaurs didn't know.
Because I do know for a fact, mate,
They
from
might
looking
have
at the
had loads
animal
of red
kingdom
tape
now,
dinosaurs. They
Yeah.
might have been right
Lot of
officious little
administration.
gits.
there's no way they were bureaucratic dinosaurs. They lived in a utopia without boundaries. That's my view.
They were killing each other.
They had to survive. They had to get by. But what I'm saying is it's very unlikely they had sovereign states, that they had hierarchies and bureaucracies. It was tooth and claw. Sure, it was tough to be in the Jurassic era. But by God, at least they dispensed with needless calendrical limitations.
You've already been outed as someone who lives in a sprawling mansion. You can't keep the... It's not that sprawling. I've been there. It's a cute little cottage on the Thames.
A vicar could live in it.
A very rich vicar who'd stolen all the money for the roof fund. It says the T-Rex's face was a kind of third hand, as sensitive to touch as a human fingertip.
I don't like the idea of my face being a third hand.
Imagine using your face to explore your environment.
That's what happens in
dignified.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm using that
it's
face
not.
as a weapon.
Nuzzling up to Chris.
I'm pushing myself deep in his pits. Every single crevice of it is aggressively explored. Right, now, look, I've agreed to play this thing for my cousin. My cousin's got his mates have got a band. They're called Casual Karma, and they've got a track called Slow Down. Now, I've agreed to play this track for them to give these lads a leg up. So what we could be on here is the precipice of history. This could be as important as Heartbreak Hotel.
Have you listened to this?
No. So, no, I've not had time.
Is there swearing in it, though?
Well, I don't want to have thought so. Why would
think so
why
with
would
that
my
name.
cousin endorse a swearing ban? My cousin James Davis, a good lad, 1 year old, lovable fella. He's not going to start giving me bands with sex words.
1
in them.
year old.
1 year old. You know.
One of your own.
Yeah, he's not likely to. So let's have a listen to Casual Karma. This could be the launching point for this new band. Or it could be a terrible nadir, couldn't it? No, they're probably quite good. He says they're good. So shall I just stick it on?
That's always a good judge.
Shall we pop it on?
Yes.
Let's put this track on. This is Slow Down by Casual Karma. We hope you enjoy it, because we're trying to endorse them and support them.
Come on.
There's nothing wrong with it. All right, I'm putting it on. I'm doing it. Down, not out of place on Radio X. Bit Cooler Shake, a bit Oasis, we could even
Frankly,
say.
it is. It's good. It's all right.
See, well, there you go. Though. So, I mean, that's probably what they want is, you know, a career in music. We've got some, so yeah, give them one. Why not? Give
All
them
right.
a career
Why
in
look
music.
at me? What do you
I
think
don't
I am?
Make an effort. All right. I love. This is from Jen. She goes, I love that every time Russ presses a button, he forgets the fader for a few seconds. It's making me happy. As you know, I'm
Is
a
that
very...
because they can see it on the video?
Facebook
Live.
Bums out on Facebook Live. Ugh, that's made me sickened myself there. Yeah, no, I think they can see it, and then they can probably hear us. They can hear the stuff we're saying off air. They can
No,
hear your
yeah.
weary exaltations.
I just keep quiet because I can see the faders are still up.
that Radio X and this lady here. Oh no, Stephen Heaps, he's a man. Russell, my 5-year-old and me are listening, but Oscar, my 5-year-old, doesn't believe that you are EB from the film Hop. Set him straight, please. Listen, Oscar, and that's a name that's going to be very prescient because I think eventually the Academy will acknowledge my performance as EB the bunny in Hop. I am that bunny, and
You're doing a voice as the bunny.
well, sort of slightly. You know how, like, I don't like to.
Owen watched that at
act too
school.
much.
They had a screening of it.
That's
at school.
part of the education system now, eh? Like many of my works, as you know, I'm on the syllabus these days.
Are you?
Well, yeah, come on.
Your
they always
book
put
was,
my
wasn't it, on
announcements.
the English language?
Yep, and then when I was arguing about drugs and all that, that was on the syllabus.
Can't even be bothered to do your own homework for your course.
I will do it. I'm going to do it. You should hear some on the Under the Skin. I talked to Brad Evans. He's a brilliant professor. Paul Gilroy, brilliant professor. Anne Phillip, brilliant professor.
I've actually heard a lot of good things about your podcast.
It's clever. It's
Under the
clever.
Skin.
Yeah, you should check it out on iTunes. This will be a podcast as well with us lot. My next guest on that is Yuval Noah Harari. I'm interviewing him directly after this, as a matter of fact. So that's going to be a giddy, vertiginous change of atmosphere, going from you pair of jokers right into him. Although there are a couple of producers in here as well to make sure that we get these tweets and that we are on Facebook Live. This is from Sophie Westcott. She says a few shines away from being an Oasis track. They like it. Some people like Casual Karma. Nephilian likes it. Oh, and then someone here's talking about that story where I was imprisoned. My terrifying experience being locked in a pantry. Someone here says, just their number, a jumped up pantry boy. That's Dredge, says that. I am a jumped up pantry boy who never knew his place. That's a lovely use of a
Pantry
Morrissey
didn't
lyric.
used to be very posh, did it? I suppose everyone had a pantry.
Maybe you worked in the pantry if you're a jumped up pantry boy who never knew his place. And pantry, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it sort of does seem like something of a moniker of the well-to-do. Let's not bicker and argue about that, my man. Let's see what these people have got to say for us, like Jennifer Mellon. Jennifer Mellon, you and Matt both had baby daughters in the same year. How is it exploring parenting together? I think it's quite good. I'm enjoying exploring parenting.
Well, they've never met our daughters yet, have they?
You're going to come round, are you?
What's the age difference?
My baby's 5 months.
Mine's 1.
1-year-old baby.
Fight. Let's make them pit those daughters against
one another. I mean,
I've held Mabel. I rocked her to sleep, didn't
you're
I?
good. You're very good. Very good. I mean, I was watching you
Techniques.
from the security of my quarters, and I thought that isn't the kind of male influence this kid needs. Doing it apparent. No, you're very good, aren't you? You're good at the. You told us about pink noise, which is what babies cry out for, don't
Yeah.
they? Silence.
Only for the first few months that'll work. It's a little bit of a
it's worn
cheap
off,
trick.
it's
Knocks them
worn
to
off.
sleep.
Yeah, it's like drugs of the baby world, isn't it? It's quite hard to maintain the sort of vigilance against, like, I don't want to give them any drugs, like Nurofen or other
Yeah.
baby drugs are available. You don't like.
First kid, we were much more like,
Kid
no,
one.
shouldn't do that, shouldn't do. Second child, you're just like,
Oh, here you go. Have a fag.
teething's hard. That's the thing. Not
She's
having
moving
a fag.
into that,
She's moving into teething.
chomping away with her little gums.
Mm.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know, mate. It's an endless, limitless mystery of limitless love, but it's an exhausting and knackering experience. Let's be honest. All right,
It
should we?
gets better, I think. As they get older, it gets better and better.
Yeah, when they interact more and they're in a position to give you
Tell
unbending
you what's wrong
adulation.
and- yeah.
Yeah, no.
Then they obviously get a lot worse.
I don't want them to start critiquing me. All right, let's stick on a commercial. Afterwards, Matthew and I will continue to pump out this comedy content at such a rate. It must be dazzling to behold. We are back on Radio X. We are live. Literally anything can happen, but surely shouldn't, because we've been in enough bloody trouble. Here we still are. It's still actually happening. Matt, I think I'm handling these technical things rather well, no?
No.
No.
He presses the button to... what button? What's the first thing
There's
you
a
do?
button over here that fires off the advert.
Then
and
you forget to fade the faders down.
Yep.
And then you forget to press the next thing. So
That's
you
the
sort of do...
adverts.
You can retain one action
Bit of information at a
before
time.
everyone has to go, hang on, and do everything for you while you look out the window.
If I was a lab rat, I'd be discarded, wouldn't I? As not, they say this lab rat, we can't judge the experiment on the basis of his behaviour.
No.
He's
you'd
an
be bad
anomaly.
control.
You're not control. You cannot be control. I will also say on Facebook Live, the holding image, I don't like it because I think I sort of look like a sort of a heroic ape, and heroic
No,
sort
you
of
look like
statesman ape.
a self-help guru.
Ooh, because I'm
Hang
trying
on,
to be
well,
that.
I don't want to be on the picture.
Well, yeah,
Look like a little fat
You look
bloke.
like when you came in here. It's like your first day of school. You came in your little spectacles. Before too long, I was massaging. Yeah, you're all neat and tidy and adorable.
Thank you.
There you go. That's the kind of thing that's going to keep your morale
Let's talk about this
high.
Matador.
We can talk about Matador if you want to, mate.
I'm quite interested in this.
Go on.
I don't know if it's slightly dodgy content.
Don't be ridiculous.
Go
A
for it,
matador
go for it.
whose
All right,
anus
it's
was
all right.
completely destroyed. Oh, his anus was completely
Just
destroyed.
plough into it.
When an 11-inch
Bull did.
bullhorn was rammed up his sphincter is doing okay. I mean, any matador that gets into... I mean, that's the point of bullfighting, isn't it? There's a risk. You're gambling.
Yeah, but you know what? I spoke to someone weirdly this week who'd
Hmm.
been to see it and said they do loads of stuff for ages to tire the bull out. So
That's
by the
not fair.
time they actually do the bit where the one guy with the red rag sort of thing, that
Hmm.
bull's exhausted.
It's not fair, is it, that the bull's been
Horrible. I don't
worn
know what's
out in
still
advance?
happening.
Well, look at a bit of Hemingway, is what I will say, because apparently it's like it's about mortality. It's about facing the beast within. It's a sort of you're confronting death. Now, I'm a vegetarian. I'm on the very precipice of becoming vegan, partly because of Simon Amstell's brilliant film Carnage, which is available on BBC
Oh,
iPlayer.
I've seen that, yeah, it's really good.
It pushes you over, mate. It pushes you over. It's the because I've always thought, oh,
Set
dairy.
the chickens free.
Yeah, oh, like no, they're liberated. Like dairy, I've always seen is like, oh, who cares? Anyone can share a bit of titty milk. But what you see that the cows are continually sex bludgeoned with a
Oh, no,
wire.
that's all wrong,
I mean, it's
isn't
an
it?
awful industry. It's got to go. We're gonna have to basically we've got to become vegans. We've got to become self-educated. We've got to become masters of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. These are some of the things that we've got to do to achieve any kind of future.
Like this guy's anus.
Let's get back to a matador's anus somewhere in Spain.
So the thing is, if you're injured by a bull in that context, right,
Hmm.
no one cares about you, do they?
What is it like when I was
People go,
bit by a
"Good."
rabbit? Yeah, you deserved that.
You deserve that. But the headline's Matador doing okay. But
Hmm.
then it just says his anus was completely destroyed.
Yeah,
so someone
I mean-
says to you, how you doing? Doing okay.
And
How's
your
your
anus? Completely destroyed.
Completely destroyed.
Could we review the doing okay? I'm not doing okay. Yeah, there's no version of okay that includes a destroyed anus. Not in my book.
But what do you do about this? Like, can they build one? No.
We can rebuild him.
Little robotic bumhole.
I suppose so. I mean, I think you're just going to have to be very patient with it. But I suppose, in a way, that's like the latent fear of bullfighting. Of course, goring. But what's the worst goring it could do? Right up the aperture.
Oh, through the throat, into the brain.
But it's not so sort of. It's like, isn't there a sort of an element of humiliation? Although
Oh, that is, yeah, that's the
like
most...
the throat, isn't it heroic to be sort of gored in the throat? Yes, you're going to die, but you're not going to have to. Like, I mean, it says that Antonio Romero was rushed to hospital after the 1,160-pound bull named Caporal attacked him in what he calls Mexico City. He says, "I have faith and hope in returning to feel and show that I can be someone important in the Fiesta Brava." The fighter shared a
Stuff
picture.
leaked down his legs.
Oh, crikey. The fighter shared a picture of him giving 2 thumbs up from his hospital bed.
That's badly worded, isn't it? See,
I could fit several thumbs. There you go.
like a basketball hoop.
I still got it. Oh, dear old
I
Antonio
feel sorry for him
Romero.
in a way, but like, because that's not going to get better. That doesn't heal. You don't grow a new one.
I think it can recover in time. If
Oh,
you,
that's based on your personal experience.
I
It was
mean,
never completely destroyed, though, was it, in your case?
no, it went through a lot. I mean, I stretched it out, but for I never took it to the absolute limit. Yeah, no, you're right, because bullfighting, it is like playing with fire. It's like, what did you expect to happen? Don't come crying to me, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose that's ultimately what it is. Matt's fear of bear probably stems from the time an Alsatian got in the car with him as a boy and tried to have sex with him. His nan always said he was funny after. Says someone called
Yeah.
Sam. Who
Well, we spoke about this on the
especially
radio
knows you.
before. I had a lot of things happen with Alsatians as a kid.
When did
I
one
was
try to have
I was-
sex with you in a car?
Well, I mean, it was the 80s.
Were you on a date? Simply no excuse.
It started off not as a date. No, I was a kid. I was a little kid in a car, and my mum went into a shop or something, and an Alsatian passing by saw me
In
and
the
thought,
car?
Yeah, got into the car and dry humped me.
Actually entered the vehicle.
Yes, the vehicle, not me.
Hmm.
He was just on top of me.
Oh dear. Oh, dear. You've had a lot of
So
unfortunate
there's that.
experiences.
But also, I was bitten by an Alsatian really badly.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah.
The Avon lady
That
one.
had to be put down.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
You wouldn't have shown
There
clemency.
is an element of that. It's the type. It's the one breed of dog that I'm instinctively scared of.
I once heard of a man who was on his way to, when like if someone's in prison for murder and like they might be getting executed, but the victims' families have to visit, and there's a sort of a tribunal.
Visit them.
They visit the prison to get an update on still this person. He has improved. He's on death row.
They hold
Do you want him executed still? Yeah, victims' families.
Oh wow!
When someone's committed a murder, the victims' families are a very prominent voice in the subsequent action. Like, I mean, obviously there's a trial and all that kind of stuff. But when they're trying to mitigate it and maybe reduce the sentence, or will there be probation, or get him off death row? Well, anyway, I heard of someone that actually was going to visit a prison in the South in America to see, like, went there with the intention of saying, yeah, no, I still want him killed. Like, you wanted that Alsatian killed.
I didn't. Well, when they told me, they
You-
sat me down and went, they had to be put down. And I just went, well, I didn't, but I didn't campaign for its death.
It wasn't like a Katie Hopkins style good justice to the dog, bring it
Yeah,
down.
so what happened with these people? They had their mind changed.
Well, they were travelling down there to participate in this tribunal with the intention of saying, yeah, no, they killed my relative. I think they should be killed eye for an eye. But then they got an upgrade on the plane. That's weird thing one. And then weird thing two, there was all petals in the aisle and all that kind of stuff, and like monks hanging around. And then the person that came and sat in the adjacent seat to them was none other than His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. And the person said, well, you're next to the Dalai Lama. You're on your way to making a life and death decision. You've got to consult the Dalai Lama.
So
And
I
sure.
asked him, what did he say?
He said, I don't care, mate. I ain't bothered. It's nothing to
He
me.
used to have a funny voice for him.
For His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. Now, the Dalai Lama obviously said clemency, that you can't hold on to resentment. You have to forgive. We have to limitlessly forgive one another. Otherwise, we're just
bet they were
holding
like-
on to pain.
All right.
You've got to take... I mean, if circumstance sticks you next to the Dalai Lama...
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty...
Yeah, you've got to take it on the chin.
Did
You can't
the
ignore them.
murderer ever find out that happened? Because then they might think, I'm not so bad after all. Like the universe tried to protect them.
Maybe, I mean, maybe that person weren't so bad after all if the Dalai Lama is karmically placed in their path.
Yeah.
So there you go. One of the messages of today's show has been forgiveness. Another of the messages of today's show has been togetherness. Another one of the messages has been, let's promote Noel Gallagher to within an inch of his life. Should we listen to the Gorillaz now? I'm going to really do this well now. I'm going to do this all correctly. Right, I'm going to press the right switches
Play
and
the
I'm
song.
going to fade us
Fade
down.
the faders down.
Right. Here we go. There's the song. Right, there you go. Perfect. Excellent. What? Oh no, it's happening again.
This is falling apart already. You're left with me. This is Matt Morgan on Radio X. While Russell's gone. Can we just tell
Where
him
is
where
he?
he's gone? He's gone to the toilet. No, he's not coming back.
Oh boy.
Gee,
How's
what's
it
been going on in your life?
Just been writing a poem.
Yeah, how's the
scribbling
poem
along.
going? We have to do the poems. Oh, he's come
pretty-
back.
Oh,
All
here
right.
he is. Here he is.
I am available for broadcasting jobs.
How did you
And
get
then-
on? What was that like without me? How did
It's all
you
right.
cope?
I thought that someone sort of came into view. Then I thought, oh, that's him. And then when it wasn't you,
Felt-
got
did you feel a little
panic.
twinge?
Little panic.
So it's nice to know, isn't it, that on some level, unconsciously at least, you love me. Another of the messages of the show, amidst the promotion for the Rebirth Tour, amidst Noel Gallagher's interjection, amidst your tweets. This one, for example, from Luke, friend of the show. I remember that guy. All right, mate. If you could give any advice to your 2006 long-haired and spectacle-free selves, what would you say to them, guys? What would you say, Matthew, to 2006 Matt Morgan? Would you perhaps say, don't leave Russell alone in a studio with Jonathan Ross? Would you say that to 2006 version of Matt?
Yeah, keep the two of you completely apart.
Apart, always.
Yeah.
Two poles that when they are magnetised, it creates naught
That's a
but
good
problems.
question. I can't think of anything.
We're going to
It's
answer
brilliant.
that
I'll have to
next
write him
week,
a
Luke.
letter.
That's a very good question. Let's ponder that. Okay, so there's a podcast of this show you can listen to. There is a podcast, and we're obliged to create new content for it, which we're going to be doing immediately afterwards. If that's all right with you guys, do you mind sort of staying here for a while? Something else will be on. What's on Radio X after this? We should probably give them a little tease. Gordon Smart. We know Gordon Smart.
know Gordon very
Smart. He knows where the bodies are buried. It's Gordon Smart, formerly of the Sun. Let's keep him close. Keep him close. He's a good lad, Gordon.
Yeah.
All right. So now, as always with our radio shows, there will be a summary of the preceding 2 hours from Mr. G, the poet laureate of this show. Thanks for joining us. I'll probably say goodbye again afterwards. Let's G, go on. Hit us up.
Okay, this poem is called The Perfect Storm. Look for us in the whirlwind, amidst the uncertain, different articles flirting between 1 and 49. Peek behind the curtains, ignore the moles lurking who are ever searching for a red flag that seeks to undermine. Find us in the tornado, massage your mental volcano, lest the robots have their say-so on the universities in your mind. Is there no place for a rainbow, where grey and red squirrels they roll, for endlessly wrestling with your past is but a matter of your time? So let us seduce you with a storm of matadors feeling torn between dinosaur porn trapped in a pantry of our design. Watch us move beyond the norm. New beginnings and new dawns. On Radio X Reborn, your Sundays will now be redefined.
All right, how does he do it? What a great
does he
gift.
do it?
Surely it's holy. What alchemy is this? What alchemy of language does he hold? Like Prospero himself creating a tempest of words. And across the way from me, as I stare down the barrel of Facebook Live, is my friend and our producer, Gareth Roy, holding a piece of paper simply with the word adverts written on it. And that is the way we'll go out. Thanks for joining us. We'll be here again next week. Stay tuned for dear beloved Gordon Smart. We've got more of this madness for you next week. Thanks for joining us. Love you. Bye, bye,
Bye.
bye, bye. That's the right button. Sure.
Radio X.
Sorry.